Hello, everybody. This is the Two Old Bucks, and this is episode 221. And I am Old Buck Dell. I'm holding down the fort here at the news desk at Old Buck Central in USA. And Old Buck Dave is on assignment. He's traveling around the world, and he's going to tell us about his adventures, and he's sampling opinions and about anything and everything of what's going on out there. Old Buck Dave, where are you, and are you there?
This is Old Buck Dave. Yes, I am reporting remotely there, so it's good to hear you and see you again. I am presently in Copenhagen, Denmark. This is our tomorrow's our last day in Copenhagen, and then we head off into a little cruise. It's our first actual real cruise, but we'll be going around Scandinavia and the Baltics. But I want to back up a little bit and tell you about the beginning of the trip.
Yeah, how did you get there?
How did I get there? Yeah. Well, we had kind of a foreboding start. Okay, everything at Tampa was good. Got a good ride to Tampa. Our Lyft driver was a sports fanatic. He kept us entertained the whole time. He knew everything about pro and college sports, and so he was a character. And he's a pee wee football coach. Had a good time with him.
That's only an hour and a half or an hour and 20 minutes or something, even that much. They crammed a lot of details into a short
Yeah,
time on the way to the
yeah.
airport. Okay.
We connected through Boston, Tampa to Boston, and it was a nice, uneventful flight. And so the moment we landed, and I turned my phone back on, it immediately blew up. All right, which was blew up with messages. So I had emails, I had text messages, I had voicemails, and they were all from the security company, the alarm company. So one of my alarm system went off while we were in the air. All right, so not a good thing. And of course, they go through this protocol. They call you, they text you, they call my wife, they text her, da 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 da. And if they don't get through to us, they call the police, and the police come to the house. So,
And I don't think that's cheap.
well, like the first one or two, I think the first two they let you go, and then they start charging you. So
Oh,
this would be like, I don't know, my fourth or fifth. That's why I got rid of the old system. It kept sending false alarms to the anyway.
you were only
So
gone for what, like 2 hours?
yeah, right. It was perfect. Yeah, and it all happened while we were
Jeez.
in the air. So we got all that sorted out, and they said, yeah, the police were already there. Everything's fine. It was a false alarm. Big surprise there. But yeah, that was a kind of a spooky start. Uh, got into the airport, which was not adequately marked in my view. Okay, we had to go and find the shuttle bus to take us to the car rental place. The rental agency was, I don't know, like a couple miles away. And of course, we were waiting in the wrong line for a while, and then a kind bus driver said, "No, you got to go over that middle island over there and wait over there." Okay, we did that. It was, it must have been like 92 in Boston at that point.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh, the
I
bus
was
air
going to ask you about the
conditioning,
temperature up there when you got
bus
up
air conditioning kind of wasn't working. We finally got to the rental place, the rental where all the rental car agencies are. Their air conditioning was broken in the building also. So here I am. I'm dressed for an airplane. I got, two shirts on and, kind of, and I'm just soaked. I'm just sweating, soaked. And then it just took forever at the rental counter. I had an EV reserved. All right. I think, okay, I'll try an EV. Well, this agent was trying his best to put me in a different car. And then he went through all this rigmarole about, filling it up and da 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 da. And he said, well, if it's an EV, you got to get it charged somewhere on the way back. I said, well, what if I don't charge it? What if I bring it in? He said, it'll probably charge you between 20 and $30. He said, you're cheaper off
Like
just
like
get,
fuel, like fuel, like
he
fill a
says,
tank up or
he
something.
says, he says, I can upgrade you to a gas car. All right. It's like, okay, how much is a gas car? And he goes through, and this is taking forever. I don't know if their computers are down or he's using an abacus in the back room. He says, that'll be $60. I said, last time I checked, 60 was not less than 30, was it? No, I guess you're right. I mean,
Sounds like a Seinfeld
this is,
episode where
yeah,
he
it
gets
was. And it's just going on and on and on. I said, look, I said, just give me the car. Just give me my car. I'll figure it out. Okay. So then they send you up into the garage to get the car. Give
like
the
to
guy.
pick. You get to pick the one you want, or do they send
I
you up
do not get
specific?
to pick the one I want, as it turns out.
Oh, okay.
And as it turns out, they didn't have any electric cars left.
Ah,
So so he had to give me a gas car, which he did not charge me $60 upgrade for because it was his problem, not mine. So anyway, so that was it. Had a bit of a hassle getting out of the airport with all the crazy directions and everything. But everything was fine after that. We spent a couple days with our good buddies outside of Boston, and then it was time to go back. It was 102 that day in Boston.
you mean feels like, or you remember
Well,
we discussed?
the car was reading 104. The official temperature was 101 or 102. The high, wow, oh, it was terrible.
So this wasn't feels like. This was
This
temperature.
this was really like it, yeah. But
Oh
anyway,
my,
after
so
that, we got on the plane. Everything was good. Nice flight. Jumped on the metro at the airport in Copenhagen. It's real simple. You just go up to the electronic cashier and figure out what your stop is, and it automatically sells you a ticket for that zone. You walk a little piece, get on the metro, wait 5 minutes for the metro, shows up, boom, takes us right there. And then it was about 5 or 6 or 7 minute walk to the hotel from the metro station. Really, it was nice.
uh,
Couldn't 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 have
let me
been.
stop you there and ask you a question.
Yes, go ahead.
It sounds to me like the transportation system over there is like 10 times better than what we got in
No,
Tampa.
20
20
times.
times.
Oh yeah, the metro system is spectacular, and they have buses and trains, and it's all cashless, and it's all well marked, and the people are all very nice. They say Denmark is, it's ranked like that. It's always ranked the happiest country. Well, these people are, I don't know if you call it happy, but they're very nice to me. They were all very nice to us. So it
I,
was.
I never I never think of them in the happiness measurement terms. Um, I always think of it in efficiency. It's like they're efficient and they get to where they want to go, and they're not they're not bogged down with what anger over small things that inconvenience them. They've eliminated all that stuff, and
Yep.
they
Everything
can,
seems to work.
yeah, right. If they eat the wrong food, that's their own problem, but everything else seems to work. I was going to back up. You were talking about heat, and didn't we get a letter? Didn't you send me a note that one of our listeners actually said they have a mathematical system to figure out what it feels like?
We did get that. Thank you for reminding me. I think we mentioned it on the last podcast. Maybe I didn't. That I ran into
No, you
Ranger
didn't.
Rick.
It was after that. Yeah,
It was
our
after
friend
that,
old Buck
after the
Rick.
last part. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was on a bike ride. I was at a stop at a little park, and none other than Ranger Rick was there with a couple other folks. So we had a bit of a reunion. Nice chat. He gave me a nice plug for the podcast to his buddies. Then I guess he listened to the episode, and we were talking about temperature and feels
and
like
feels like, yeah.
So he researched it, and he sent me a formula about 20 20 factors long.
Yeah.
So that was cute. It was like this is how you get the feels like temperature. So
Well,
thanks, Rick. Glad to have you
yeah,
back.
we always appreciate somebody digs into something that we can clarify. But I thought it was interesting in that he the parameters that they used to figure that out, and then mathematically they were able to do something. So it's more scientific than just feels like. It's probably a
Right. It's a
yeah
specific.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
and it's basically boils down to the effective humidity on your skin.
yeah, and
Oh,
so that's the only way. I guess the only way they can describe it is a feels like. So they say this is the actual thermometer temperature. And this is the other factor we factor in. This is, we call this the feels like. So
yeah.
thanks, Razor Rich, and I thought I'd clarify that to anybody else that might have dug that up. Appreciate that. So anyhow, you let me go back to where you were. You got off the metro and you were at a place of your choosing, or near a place of your choosing in Copenhagen.
So yeah, so we went back to the same hotel that we used last year because we liked it so much.
Oh,
Of course, they didn't remember us, but we had
why
a
should they? Why
why
should they
should
remember?
they? But again, they were very nice to us. We got a nice room, got a kind of a bit of an upgrade in the room, which was nice. They let us in 3 hours early. So we got here from the airport in a ridiculous amount of time, probably within an hour of the plane touching down, we were at the hotel. I mean, that's
And this is without external assistance. You merely followed the instructions.
just yes, yep.
Huh. Now
It
there
all,
you go. That's why those people are happy.
that's why they're happy.
Well, big shout out to our friends in Copenhagen that put together a system that works that well. So
Yeah. And speaking of the weather has been a consistent mid 60s here. This all the I don't know 4, 5, 6 days, whatever we've been here now, and it's just been just perfect for me. It's not Florida cooking. It's nice. It's actually been very windy, and sometimes the wind chill takes it down into the 50s, but it's fine. It's fine. A little bit of rain mists in once in a while, and then the sun comes out again. But it's good, and it's great to watch. This is like the world's number one cycling city. Everybody rides to work or rides everywhere. It's just the bike lanes are just full, and they really clip it along. They're not at a snail's pace. They are all moving, so it's pretty impressive.
so these people riding the bikes are bike riders. There's no doubt about it.
Well, yeah, they're going to work. Some of them, they're all dressed up in work clothes, and and there's a lot of these, cargo bikes, as we call the cargo
Yeah.
bikes. A lot of those here, and that's how families get around. I took a picture of one family. The father was, it was electric. It was an e-bike, and there was a mother and three kids in the buggy in front. The buggy's always in front here, and so that was amazing. It was a family of five. It was just incredible. And it all works. Again, it all works. The traffic. You don't have to press the button to cross the street. Everything's timed, and you get your turn, and the bikes have their turn, and it's nice. It's nice.
Again, that's why they're happy.
That's why they're happy. Yeah. Um, yeah, we've had
Uh,
we've had a nice time here. We visited the botanical gardens, different parts of the University of Copenhagen. I guess it is University of Copenhagen. Which is scattered all over town. Uh, Saw one of the kind of where the king's summer place was.
this, Dave, is the second time you've been there. So were you catching up on some things you did not see last time, or were
Yes,
you
yes,
sort
yeah,
of thoroughly looking at some stuff you wished you could see again? I mean, you
yeah.
know how
We
that
went
goes.
we went this yeah we got to spend more time in areas that we didn't get to the last time. We went to the it's the National Museum of Art. I think I call it the DMK, the Danish Museum for Kunst, which is art. It was really impressive. It was huge, huge. And they had different rooms for art in the different periods. And they had the Danish art, and then they had European art and different other other rooms for that. They had a big section devoted to Michelangelo. They have a lot of casts, plaster casts of some of his works, and they have some bronze casts. They have a bronze cast of David there. Uh, there's some great show and tells, video of how they, of the sculpturing process and the various steps, and it
I
was
mean,
fun. It was just fun to watch.
now, is this the original source of the like the classic Dutch masters? You know, where all these guys are in those uh, the
You
Van
mean like on the
Goghs
cigar
or
box, or
well, those are the only Dutch masters I know.
I,
That was those 25-cent cigars when I was a kid.
these would
But
be Danish
I mean, you
masters.
see, when I think of that, sometimes in museums we see these very large paintings of people standing around in all these ornate outfits and so on and so forth. But is their art is different than our art? I would say. Is that
Well, I mean,
correct?
they've got that. Again, it's the different periods, periods in time, and so you can see the very classic art from the old days, and up to the modern art of today, where it's a lot of this, like, I don't know if you call it performance art or what, but you got moving parts and flashing lights and a lot of stuff where you scratch your head and
Oh,
say, I could probably put a pile of rocks like that. Yeah, I
but
could probably do
I
that.
didn't think about putting a pile of colored rocks like that.
They
That's
had
the
a
difference between it.
real a real interesting room on Danish surrealism, so you could see, it looked like Dali stuff, similar to Dali stuff. That was interesting,
Oh,
and yeah, I mean, it was nice, and we visited a bunch of different gardens, places, walked around the neighborhoods, did some kind of neighborhood tours.
how was the language barrier?
They speak better English than I do. Everybody speaks English. Everybody speaks English. A
Did you
lot of
notice
American
lots?
tourists here too.
Really?
Yeah. The interesting thing is the English that they speak sounds more like American English than British English.
So how could you tell the American tourists? They all had their favorite team football jersey on. That's how we know.
That was part of
That's
it. Yeah.
that's how we
Well, I
know
mean,
people are
you could just
going
hear a
to
lot of
Pittsburgh.
American English being spoken everywhere.
Oh, just spoken. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
So you plodded around over there. You saw some things, some new things, and some old things. And so this is sort of the first stage of the rest of the journey. And do you end up back there to fly out again
Eventually,
or to come
yes.
back?
Yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
so eventually you end up back there.
Yeah. Met some great people along the way already too. I got to tell you about a couple of them. So we we met a couple. We were kind of in an outdoor cafe, taking an afternoon coffee break and watching the world go by. Oh, by the way, this is apparently high school graduation party weekend. We saw a bunch of kids walking around in these white, look like white sailor caps or captain's caps. And I finally stopped the girl and said, "What's this mean?" And she says, "Oh, we graduated from high school this year." And through the weekend, it was fireworks all day and night, and a bunch of literally truckloads of these kids driving all around town with banners and yelling, screaming, singing. It was it was cute. It was very festive, and they're waving to you, and everybody's yucking it up and having a good time. It was sweet. But,
Who explained that to you? I mean, how did you know what that was when you see a bunch of truckload of kids screaming and hollering and waving?
well, I
Or was
mean,
there a sign on?
the girl that was walking had told me, this is before we saw any of the trucks or anything.
Oh,
She said, "Well, it means we graduated from high school this year." And then I started seeing these trucks, like these big uh, open body trucks just full of kids, and they're just yelling and screaming. They've got big banners. It was cute. It was cute.
So the whole system, just like us, they turn them all loose at the same time, only they don't go to Daytona Beach or something like that. They just ride around
They
town
just
declaring
terrorize the town. Yeah.
declaring victory.
Yeah, they get off every once in a while and do a little dance around, get back up on the truck and go again. It's cute. It's really cute. We met a California couple there when we were having coffee. Uh, Real nice folks. And he had a folding bike with him, and I said, "What's going on with the folding bike?" I said, "There's only one bike, and there are two of you." And he says, I can't keep up with my wife because I got bad knees. So I use a folding bike to ride along with her. I said, really? I said, did you brought it with you? He said, oh yeah, I brought it on the plane. And they had just gotten off of a cruise. And he said, every port we stopped in, I took the bike out and rode around the town. It was,
But I assume it's one of these bikes like it's got 12-inch wheels on it or something.
yeah, small wheels and it folds in half. And yeah,
Yeah.
it worked. And we met speaking of biking, we met a Canadian couple, Joe and Donna. They had just gotten back from a 6-day bike ride around Denmark. And we just had a nice time. They're from Saskatchewan. We had a nice time, nice chat with them. They were both married for the second time. They've been only been married like 3 years, and so they said, well, like we're still on our honeymoon. It's great. It was cute.
So,
And
so that's all part of that's all part of Copenhagen's options there. Like I don't recall any U.S. cities. Do U.S. cities have that kind of an option? Do it bike tours of the city? You travel.
I think
You've
some do,
ridden
but
in almost all
it's
of them.
pretty hard. It's pretty hard in U.S. cities to pull that off. But yeah, but
That's a,
this was not as they were 6 days. This was in the country, around the country,
oh,
part of the
okay. Not
country.
just
Yeah,
the city.
but they do have the city bike tours. I saw a bunch of those. And then last night at dinner, we went to an Indian restaurant for dinner last night, and started talking to the couple next to us. Turns out they had just gotten off of a cruise a day before. They were from Australia. They were also staying at our hotel, as it turned out. We were staying at the same hotel. So they live near Sydney. They're actually from Scotland, from Glasgow, Scotland. And but they moved to Australia 22 years ago. She's an MD, medical doctor, and he's a teacher. And just had a great time with them. Jan and Brooks, Jan and Brooks. I
Mm.
love the Scottish accent. It was just, it's kind of, they have a mix, mostly Scottish, but I guess there's some Australian mixed in there. So it was, it was a real hoot just talking to them. We had a nice time with them. So it's, meeting nice people has been a big part of it here.
I take it the Copenhagen is a sort of like it's a port city, right? It's a port city, and yeah, it's a port city, and
Hmm.
that's where a lot of the cruises originate for the north and south directions of
Yeah. Yeah. To
Scandinavia.
go Scandinavia and the Baltics. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Are you heading north?
We're heading north. Yes. We go north. We leave tomorrow afternoon, and we have two stops in Sweden, and then we stop in Helsinki, Finland, and then the three Baltic countries: Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. We have a long stop in Lithuania, and my wife's cousin's picking us up and taking us to another cousin's house for a big party. So that's probably going to be the high point of the whole vacation. Is
I would think. So that sounds interesting. So you'll be on the water, what, 2 or 3 weeks? Weeks? Feel you ten
about around
days?
2 weeks. Yeah, I think yeah, two
Oh,
weeks on
14
the
days.
water. Yeah, we end
Is
up
it is
we dock in Southampton, England.
oh, that's where you end up, is in
Yeah, it
Eng
goes through Pol. We stop in Poland, and we go through. I think we go through a canal in Germany, and then we end up in Southampton. Yeah.
then you fly back to Copenhagen and fly back to the
Yeah, then
States.
we have a couple days in London, and then we fly back to Copenhagen, and then home from Copenhagen. Yeah,
Oh,
so
well, it sounds like a great adventure. I know
it's an
that it's not so
adventure.
easy,
Yeah,
not so easy to zoom in from out there in the sea. But I guess if you're on land for any length of time, you can always check with me. I should tell our listeners that I vicariously travel with Dave on these trips. Not only do I question him to death about the trips, I get some photos along the way, and I think, "Ooh, that was nice to see that," and I didn't have to get out of my chair.
Yeah. Oh, I sent you pictures of Hans Christian Andersen.
Yeah, that's Christian
We
Edison.
had the statue, and then we met a fella who was actually he impersonates Hans Christian Andersen. He's a tour guide there, and he he gave us some hints, things to do, this and that. It was real nice. We had a beautiful chat with him. He's from New York, okay? He's from New
Yeah,
York City,
New Yorker. Yeah. So
but
he just stands around there passing this information out, or just sort of hooking up with people to be a tour guide.
he takes people on tours. He had two people on a private tour that day, and he was waiting
Oh,
for them to get out of the bathroom or something. I don't know, but it was just nice. We had a good time with him. Took a bunch of pictures with him, and so that's where we are.
well, while you're sitting in a hotel room in Copenhagen right now, preparing for your next adventure, I have been as man in a man in a news desk here. Um, I don't spend too much time outside. Everything I do outside within an hour or two. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. This is a season where you have like, you wonder on laundry day why you have 12 shirts. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I know what
Now,
you mean.
I would normally cry about that or not so much complain about it, but you know how when you experience something and you want to tell somebody how tough you are, and this is a situation I'm in. But when Chicago is 98 degrees and you're 101, you get little sympathy
Little sympathy.
for
Yeah.
being little sympathy for being in Florida just because it's only 97 degrees. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of a sea breeze, so it cuts a little bit down if you're in the shade. So other than that, old Buckdell has been laying kind of low. I guess I live in a senior neighborhood. Well,
Yeah,
it wasn't senior when I got here, but
they've all
it's
aged
senior.
amazing.
It's senior now, yeah. And there's been a plethora, like a bit of a pandemic of old age creeping up around. We have quite a few neighbors that have been hospitalized, and the plan is neighbors helping neighbors, and as a result, I've been busy with a few folks that have really been down on their luck, staying out of the heat, not too much outside extra, but I've been doing a lot of that. So it's just one of those things where you'd have to, when you get old, Dave, you'll see what I mean. And they
Remember,
say, look, he's only a year older than me, only a year older than
yeah,
us, and he's in deplorable condition. And I'm going, hey, we're still mobile. So
yeah,
I guess when our turn
we're
comes,
good. We are
we'll
good.
depend on the kindness of our neighbors to help us out too.
Yeah.
But that's basically what old Buck was doing. So, um, listen, it's this episode. I didn't have a lot planned to hammer about, but I would give a shout out to all our listeners, and we have a couple of regulars, and I even was a couple of folks spoke to me and said, "Hey, I listened to the two old bucks." Well, we're always open to any thoughts, any ideas, and anybody who wants to write in on anything that they think about something. We'll be glad to, talk about that. And while you're out there, if we get a chance to Zoom again, we'll bring that up. But otherwise, quiet here at the news desk. I wish you the very best of travel, uneventful travel. But what trouble can you get to on a boat?
We'll find out.
Yeah, don't hang over the rail or something like that. So wish you the very best in your travels and adventures, and I'll look forward to some photos along the way, and then we'll maybe get together once more before we get back to Copenhagen.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Take care.
All
Take
right,
care,
all folks.
everybody else
This is Old
too.
Buckdale saying thanks for checking in with us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Adios, everybody. Bye bye.